Hey folks, Chad here with Exodus Trail Cameras. It's late June, early July. Bucks are finally gotten to the point where we can start to really identify them by their antlers. We've gotten to that point in the growing season where we can finally start to be excited. We're getting ready to kick off Velvet Fest, which is our summer whitetail trail camera celebration. So there's a ton of things to be excited about. When we get to this point in the season, for us here at Exodus, it's kind of mass deployment season. This is when, typically around 4th of July, this is when we're going out, mass deployment, going out to public land and hanging a very, very large number of trail cameras. And that's over several days because we're walking so many miles. We may only be able to put 5, 6, 7 cameras out at a time. And at times we have, 30, 40, 50 cameras to put up. So everything we do, we try to be super, super efficient. So we've kind of put together a formula or a pre-deployment checklist, if you will. And that's what we're going to talk on today. The things that we do just to prepare for the day, making sure we have certain items in our pack and how we do all of that. So up until this point, we've already done our winter maintenance. We've already went through and made sure that cameras are up to date with their firmware and they're properly been stored. So if you guys have missed that step, we actually did a whole nother video on that. Just go back and check that video out and it gets you up to speed. But as far as a pre-deployment checklist, I want to start with one of the things that we've started doing last year, and that is we're really trying to do a better job at hiding our cameras, and that starts with using Paracord. Been getting a lot of questions about this, but we use a super, super simple method. We cut 6 or 7 feet, 8 feet of paracord. We tie a figure 8 knot or some type of loop knot, and then we take the tag end or the loose end, run it through the back of the housing, wrap your paracord around the tree, and I'm sure Cameron's going to show some B-roll of this. Just cinch it down tight, tie it up with a couple hitches. But that makes your cameras a lot less visible. So we're, this is one of the things that we're included with every camera that we're hanging, and there's a super, super easy way to keep this stuff organized. You're just going to take one end of this paracord, put it between your ring and middle finger, and use a figure 8 method to just go ahead and wind that up. And when we get to the end, you take your 10-inch, 8-inch tail, you give it a couple loops, and cinch it tight. And that's going to keep all the stuff organized in your pack. And then when you get to your spot, you just unwind it, and it just freely spools out, so it's not getting tangled up. So that's one important tip. The next thing I want to touch on, we've talked about this in the past, but labeling your SD cards for each camera. So if you're still running standard SD card cameras, it's important that you're going in and you have 2 SD cards for each camera. You're labeling that camera, whether with whatever method or system you have, whether that's numbers, letters, whatever. Label your camera, label your card. So if this was camera A, this would be card A1, and then we'd have card A2. So one of those cards go in the camera, the other one's going to go in your SD card case, and you're going to swap those out when you go to pull them. A little bit different with cellular cameras because you're not checking cards or pulling cards, but we still label them. Go ahead and stick your card in, make sure that's good to go. And then, of course, our lithium batteries. We always harp on lithium batteries. You use lithium batteries. But making sure all that stuff is good to go. And then once we actually put those cameras in our pack, again, we have a method for this. One of the things that we've run into with customers in the past is breaking these antennas while they're have these cameras in transport. When they throw them in their packs, these things actually breaking. So what we do is, number one, we take the antennas off, store those in the pack separately, and then any cameras that we have, when we're hauling multiple cameras around, we're always either going to stack these either face to face or back to back, and really we're doing that in an effort to protect the the exterior of the front of the camera. So we don't want to put this aggressive, sharp mounting back over top of our flash unit. It's going to scratch it up when they're moving around. If it gets on your lens, it's going to scratch your lens up, which is going to decrease your quality of photos. And then if you really start to gouge and move these things around a lot on your Fresnel lens, which covers your PIR sensor, then you're going to start to see performance issues. So always stack these things face to face or back to back when you put them in your pack. The next thing that's ultra important, and you really should have this in your pack at any point in the season, but a handsaw or a pair of pruners. You know, whenever you're going out to hang a set, you want to make sure that your detection area, your field of view is free and clear of any debris, blowing leaves, branches. It's going to help eliminate those false triggers and make that card pull a little better for you. We're always going to carry a climbing stick, even though that, you know, there are times or days that we won't use it. This beast stick is light enough. It's less than 2 pounds with this rope mod. It's light enough to put on your pack, carry with you, just in case if you do want to elevate a camera, or there's a certain situation you run into that you need to have that thing elevated, you have the means to do so. So the climbing stick is always going to be in our pack. And then probably the second or third to last thing we want to touch base on are SP18 or solar power. For anyone running cellular cameras, cellular trail cameras, it's ultra important to have some type of external power source. It doesn't have to be ours. You can build your own, but without external power, you're really limiting the capabilities of that camera, because every couple months you're going to be in there changing batteries just due to the nature of the beast with power consumption on a cellular device. So again, it doesn't have to be our product, but some type of external power source to extend the use, the field use or in-season use of those cellular trail cameras is a must. So second to last thing, Pyrethrins. We always carry this with us. We always have this in a truck. We typically spray our clothes down with it, but it does come in handy in the field. You know, summer months are times where bugs, insects, spiders, ants, they can cause havoc on cameras. They get into the housings, they build nests, they chew on seals, they get in the ribbon connectors, and they can cause a lot of damage. So just carrying a little spray bottle of this not only protects yourself from ticks and chiggers, mosquitoes, things of that nature, but also if you spray the tree, the top and bottom, above and below the camera, it's going to help prevent insects from actually going in and doing damage to your camera. So this is super important to have. And then the last thing, my personal favorite, some Chipotle napkins. You got to have toilet paper when you're miles from the truck. I simply I'm tired of using leaves. I'm at the point in my life where I can pack a little toilet paper. So, but that's it. That's our pre-deployment checklist. As I mentioned, there's several things that we do prior to this for proper storage and maintenance and things of that nature. So if you're curious about that, be sure to check out the description in check the link in this video description for that previous video. If you guys have any questions about what we touched on, what we talked about, or if you have a comment that you would like to see something very specific, drop that in the comment section below. Hit that thumbs up for us and smash that subscribe button.